Yeah, I mean, almost as soon as you start your PGCE, start seeing what's out there. If nothing else, it gives you comparisons. You may want to go on a few interviews to see actually what schools are like. You know, you don't necessarily want to get your first job at your first interview. Go and practice, see what it's all about.
For getting yourself ready for the job, or even the letter, first of all, you need to put together quite a decent application, obviously, to get shortlisted.
The way that the TES adverts are set up, it's really useful because obviously schools put in the key points that they want, so that's really directly transferable to your application then. So it's almost like a given that you've got to include what they've put in their advert in the application. And because it's sort of bullet pointed quite often or set out quite clearly, it gives you sort of a framework then from the advert to write your application and covering letter around.
I would say start as soon as possible, preferably before Christmas, maybe even October once all the jobs are out there, because that's the only way you find the good schools.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you leave it till now, probably in science, probably about 20 jobs, whereas when I applied for this, there was, I think, about 100 and something in this area alone. So start early and don't leave it till now.
Yeah.
Especially for NQTs, because I know they allocate a special number. Some schools, they are especially trained for NQTs to help them with their development. So they've already got those positions available, so they will post them early.
I definitely think when you're doing your PGCE course, it's a stressful time, and maybe you might not be thinking about applying for jobs during that period, but it gets harder as it goes on, and you get more work to do, and you do start to forget about job applications, and it's something that I'm guilty of. I left my job applications late. Probably should have started earlier, but that was due to the fact that I thought I need to focus more on PGCE, but getting them in early I think is a good idea.
It's a weight off your shoulders.
It is,
that's what I found,
yeah.
Because I got mine quite early. It was back in January, and I knew I had from January till July, and I've got a job secure. So it was brilliant to have that weight off your shoulders.
In terms of application, it's trying to match somebody's personal ethos to my ethos, which obviously is the ethos of the school. So finding somebody that's got the same educational philosophy as me, that's in it for the children are the most important factor, relationships, all that's got to come out through the application, otherwise they won't be shortlisted.
Don't just apply to any school. Don't just apply and think, I need a job, I'll apply to this one, this one, this one. Think about it, go to the school, have a look around, and you know, if you show you're passionate about working in a school, they're going to be more than willing to take you on as a member of staff.
I would advise anybody to take time to read the Ofsted and try and find out as much as you can about the school and their data and perhaps the faculty or where you're going to work. Look at if they've got any points that they need to improve, which is usually coming out in the Ofsted, and see if you can build on that. Do you have the skill set to help the faculty come out of that?
There's certain words that schools will be looking for, and certain qualities that hopefully you will have as a teacher, but it's writing those down and getting them down in that cover letter. That's the first thing they see at a school. So
my tip would be, and this is something that I did and found really helped me a lot, was actually going and visiting the school. Once I'd found out that I'd got an interview, I rang the school and said, would you mind if I come and have a look around, because it's as much you wanting to work at the school as them wanting you as well. It gave me a real idea of what the school was about, what their ethos was about, and it really helped me in interview, because then I was passionate about wanting to come to this school, and I could really show that and say why I liked this school in particular and how it outranked all the rest.
I also phoned up and asked to come in for a look around, and I think that's really important that you go and see a school before you actually turn up on interview, because obviously on an interview day you can't make the decision about whether it's the right place for you.
For me, what's most important is they take the time and make the effort to visit the school, because I just don't understand how anybody could work somewhere that they've never been to. They don't know whether the school suits them or whether they suit the school, so I would have expected to have met them before then. So any advert that I would put out would say that visits to the school would be warmly encouraged.
I planned a visit pre-interview a week before the interview, and it allowed me to look around the school, to get to know certain staff members. I had the opportunity to speak to the science faculty, and then once I came for my interview, I'd had that slight edge from knowing everyone already and having a grip of the school before coming. And
so,
that,
if the school lets you do that and they're happy for you to do it, I'd say definitely embrace it, go for it.
No, I always encourage student teachers that I work with to do that, because I just think that you get a much better feel for it when you are in a less pressured situation. Quite often it will be, you know, a member of the leadership team that sends you around the school. What was really nice here was I had a meeting with Andy, the head teacher, and then I got shown around the school by some sixth formers, and they were, you know, all about the school really. They were really pleased with everything about it. They loved the house system, and you get a lot of insight through that. And also what I've noticed about students is they're not scared to knock on classroom doors and go into classrooms. So I came for a look round, and I sort of spent a couple of hours here having a look and getting a feel for the place.
I'd also try and look round the school, because really it's got to be somewhere where you feel comfortable to go. I found it quite useful going to the school to sort of get a more clear picture of what the site is like before I was walking around, because on the actual interview day you can look around and you think, oh, I'm not sure, but if you've given yourself a few more visits there, you can start to feel like you could really work there. Definitely
the top tip, go and see the school first of all. You know, I mean, you put your application in by all means, but if you can go beforehand so that you get a look around when you're under less pressure, that's much better. We all know that on interview day you're just panicking about when your lesson is, as that's the biggest panic. For whatever stage of teaching you're at, the biggest panic is delivering your lesson.
And again, I say, once you've got an application, once you've sent it in and you've been given an interview, there are going to be 4, 5, 6 people there. So planning an outstanding lesson is going to give you the edge amongst everyone else. And that would be my tip. Once you've done the application,